Hey Bears, Eric here, and in today's video, we're going to do a quick little reaction to a video uploaded by Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Now, to be fair, and to be very transparent, I sort of made a personal promise to myself that I would not be really engaging with this channel anymore for a few reasons. Let's go over this quickly before we watch this video. Jeremy admitted on stream that all he does is create narratives from stuff and basically just lie to his audience. And that video's got circulated here on YouTube by multiple channels. A lot of people saw it, and it was on FNT, so I can almost guarantee that most of his audience saw it. So we're in a situation where either they're aware they're being lied to and they're okay with it. They just want to have that confirmation bias, even if it's all lies. That's either the situation, or the people that were watching were too ignorant to understand that he was telling on himself. So we make videos like this when I debunk videos by these channels, particularly this channel. The only thing I can hope is that people will come across this content before they get indoctrinated by these guys, before they get radicalized by these channels, because once that happens, it's really hard to break away. It does occur. I have people who used to be fans of this content that have come out and been like, look, I got away from it. So it does happen, but it's just not very common. So engaging with this is really just for fun for me, and it's because I really enjoy debunking the dumb stuff that these channels say. So I'm going to do this one. It's a review of episode 7 of the Acolyte, titled Stupid, which I don't understand why they're still watching this show. Clearly this entire community doesn't like it, so there's no point in reviewing the episodes individually, like going through and reviewing each episode, if you already know you hate it. I don't totally get that. It's one thing if you're watching and there's ups and downs and you go into it like really hoping it's going to be good, but they don't care. They don't like it, and that's fine. You don't have to, but I don't know why you're still reviewing it other than for monetary reasons, which makes your review absolutely null and void. Let's go ahead and just jump into this Geeks and Gamers video.
The Acolyte episode 7 is here, and so many amazing things happened in this episode. So many questions were answered. So many lessons in life happened. Some of those lessons: all black women are queen. Do not question black women because they are queen. They don't do anything wrong. That is why they call it black girl magic, because you cannot question all hail black girl queens.
Honestly, these guys know that they're just reinforcing how their viewers already feel. They already know that. So I could say, hey, he's saying something that's pretty much racist, it's microaggressive, but it doesn't matter. That those kinds of things, that's why I don't really use that term to describe what they do anymore, because it's basically just known. It's just known by people. The people in their circle would never admit that, but that kind of comment, like, what does that even accomplish? What kind of criticism is that of the episode to start out? It's a zinger for him to speak to the people who are locked in over at Geeks and Gamers. And the whole force is female thing, I just don't understand why the viewers still connect with that. It's already been proven that wasn't an advertising thing for Star Wars. It's just like if anybody went out and had a t-shirt made with some saying or some slogan on it. They just happened to be there, you know, when that was happening. They thought it was cool. They decided to put it on for this ad for shoes. I think it was Nike, maybe. It didn't matter because it wasn't promotion for the movie was not using the force as female. We already know that.
Don't do it. That's one of the lessons. Number 2, the Jedi. The Jedi are bad. The Jedi are evil. The Jedi are terrible. We know all of you chuds out there have fantasized about being a Jedi because you think they're cool and you think they're awesome.
Well, lots of people love the Jedi. There's still a lot of people that like the Sith too. So are you insinuating that only chuds and grifters like the Jedi and that no one else likes it? I mean, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is the stuff that just blows my mind. Like, they're saying this, and the people watching this kind of stuff, it doesn't connect in their heads. I like the Jedi. They're Jedi characters I like, but I'm not a chud. But I also understand that the story is explaining that there were Jedi doing things that they shouldn't have been doing. We already know this. We already know this. This is, where do you think Darth Vader came from? Where do you think the Sith came? Like, all of these things are an offshoot of what the Jedi were. They exist. as antithesis to Jedis. I think almost all of them were Jedi at some point or were training to be Jedis. So why are we acting as if the Jedi are above reproach, these virtuous figures that don't do anything wrong? It's just...
Well, in reality, the Jedi are evil, terrible people, and we have to get rid of all of them.
Well, here's the other thing, is there's this weird, like, extremism, these absurdity to his comments. Like, why is it that, like, all the Jedi are bad? We have to get rid of all of them. Why is it that that's his take? Why is that his take? We know that all the Jedi aren't bad. So the show is telling a story about specific things that these group of Jedis did. Media literacy, it's so absent. It is so absent in people who just do not understand art. They don't understand the process of making things. Okay.
Or let Rey rebuild the entire Jedi Order in the right way. And of course, last but certainly not least, never trust a white woman. Hey, I mean, Leslie Headland, I appreciate you. I mean, that's essentially the thing we learned in this episode, because...
So now you like women. Okay. Because now you're giving me this vibe that you... it is hard to keep up with the mental gymnastics of these folks. So never trust white women. That would be a slogan that you could hear them saying. That's something that I could hear coming out of Jeremy's mouth. All right.
If you trust a white woman and you do what she says, she's going to fuck everything up, but it's going to be your ass that has to clean up the mess, not her, because she's going to be long gone by the time everything hits the fan. Good job, Leslie Headland. That's a quick recap.
How did that... Okay, so first of all, if you want to see my review of the episode, you can check out that review on my Eric's Reloaded channel. I will link it in this video in the corner, so you can go check it out if you want. But what does that even mean? In the episode, we see that there's an immediate reaction to what happens when the battle goes down and people are unalived. There's an immediate reaction to that. It wasn't like people were forgiven, and we still have an episode left. And we know what happens to that character because these were flashbacks. So there is retribution. Literally retribution, which you guys complained about.
Of the Acolyte, episode 7 right there. My God, this episode was so incredibly bad and boring. It really was one of the worst episodes, which says a lot, because we're talking about the Acolyte here, one of the biggest pieces of shit we've ever seen. This episode was painful to get through. Painful to get through. Right here you have it. Black women are queen. We all knew what direction this episode was going in, and this particular scene played out exactly like we knew it would play out, because this is Lucasfilm.
Well, first of all, what's wrong with black women calling themselves queens? What's the issue with that? Are you personally offended by that? Does that trigger you? Does that challenge your masculinity because a black woman calls herself queen, or affectionately call each other queens? Why does that bother you so much? I mean, I know the answer, but I'm just exhausted of saying it. We know why he's saying it. We know. We get it. You don't like black women. Got it. Duly noted.
Doing what Lucasfilm has always done. The black woman was just wanting to honor her child, and those mean Jedi were just there to take them out and make mistakes and cover things up and all.
So are you advocating for what happened? Are you advocating that the Jedi came in and wanted to take the children? Because again, media literacy, I don't understand your personal opinion on this. You're so upset about this black woman leading this coven of witches and how she was revered by this group, that there's nothing she can do that allows you to see beyond that. Do you agree with what the Jedi were doing? Do you think that was okay? Because if you did not think it was okay, then you should be siding with her, saying that they shouldn't be coming in and taking her children, because that was the point of view they were trying to give you through this episode. They wanted you to understand how this is why the episodes were split up, so you could understand each side of this conversation. But your takeaway from this is that you're upset that a black woman was revered as a queen and that she was trying to protect her children?
All of that. It's such nonsense. Then we get to the scene I'm talking about. So right here, Lily says, wow, so okay, so it was all Master Indara. Saul killed the mother, Indara killed the rest of the witches, and it was her idea to lie to the council. I thought the Acolyte was about empowering women. All it proved was that you don't believe all women. WTF. Absolutely. Endemion's got a good tweet here that kind of really...
Okay, so let's try to unpack this. The show is showing you that all of the characters can be multifaceted, including the women. If Indara does something perfect, she's a Mary Sue. If Indara starts telling people what to do, she's a girl boss. If Indara is considered a powerful Jedi, but then gets killed by a dagger, she's weak and they had a bad story. If Indara makes decisions that make it seem like she might be more than just this perfect character, then it's not empowering women, so that means it's bad. There is no real criticism there. There's nothing there. Every single thing that these characters do, no matter what the decisions are, you're going to dislike it. You're not going to support it. She's not a perfect character. So no, it wasn't about, quote unquote, empowering women as Mary Sue's, as you guys try to tell everyone. This is your argument. You pulled up a tweet where someone says from their perspective, it wasn't empowering women. And instead of going, oh, well, that breaks my narrative, you move on to a tweet from Endemion, which, by the way, why do we care what these people say? How does that reinforce your opinion? What is your opinion on the elements of the show? Are you just a parrot mimicking stuff that everyone else is saying?
Breaks the whole thing down. And shout out to Endemion. He's got a great YouTube channel. If you guys have not checked his channel out, you should.
No, he doesn't. It's a lot of clickbait bullshit, garbage. You guys don't give a fuck about each other. Except for, I would say that you and a couple of the core guys probably do, but the rest of them, you don't give a fuck about them.
Should. And he says specifically in here, he's not even going to make a video. So I think he's got a good breakdown right here. The penultimate episode of Star Wars The Acolyte is a complete waste of time and a bizarre choice to present this far into the show's existence. All you learn is that Soul killed a witch, and I guess they sort of explain why and how Osha May are made of, kind of, are made kind of. It's called a vergence, which is basically a condensed space of force energy.
Right. Yeah. So that second paragraph where he's talking about what's going on, I mean, those were important things. We'd been waiting to find out what Saul did. You guys have been complaining that they weren't talking about what Saul did. A lot of us that were enjoying it were waiting to find out what Saul did. So yes, it was a very important part of the series. Did they drag it on a bit too long? I would say yes. I've complained about that, as well. If you watch my review, I'll talk more in detail about it. So yeah, they did drag it on a bit. And there are issues with the episode, but these are things that we needed to know. If they would have ended the series without answering these questions, you guys would have chastised them.
By the way, when I think it was Saul who said virgins in it, it sounds like he's saying virgins in the show. Of course, Saul.
Well, that's because that's how your mind works. The actor had to learn English to actually be on the show. So yeah, some things may sound slightly different because he worked really hard to get prepared to play this character. But of course you would hear virgins, which is really fucking creepy.
You can't understand anything he fucking says, but yeah, when he said,
really,
Saul, you can't understand anything he fucking says.
You know what? Let's just continue on.
But yeah, when he says it, it sounds like he's saying virgins. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now in this show? What?
Oh, because it sounds like something else that makes it funny, even though you knew what it was.
The hell is happening? Think of when Luke walked into Yoda's swamp and saw visions of himself in the Empire. That's kind of a virgins, although weaker than this. Anyways, the twins are alluded to be some sort of manipulation of that phenomenon, and they say they're the same person, like down to the DNA and midichlorians. They're one being split into two. Also, this virgins stuff is directly tied to Mortis and all of that. Honestly, this episode and episode 3 could have been one big episode, but doing it this way feels like a waste of time, in my opinion. I won't be covering this in a video because, to be honest, it's not really much to talk about, in my opinion, anyway, at first glance. This show is genuinely a waste of time for everyone involved.
It actually sounds like there's some pretty interesting stuff there to talk about if you're a massive fan of Star Wars. I'm more of a casual fan, and I've said that before. I just kind of enjoy the things they put out, and if there's something I don't like, I just don't really get into it. But I try to engage in the stuff that I like. But it sounds like there's a lot of stuff there that could be unpacked, some theories that could be made up, things that could be talked about. But you guys are too blinded by your hatred to even consider any of those things, because the show is doing things through the eyes of characters that look different from you. So it's really hard for you to connect with those characters. And you have characters that don't reflect who you are or the community that you're involved in. You start to really just not understand some of the nuance of it. So instead of making the show like a learning moment where you could actually lean in and maybe learn things about communities that you're not a part of, you just rebel against it because you're so threatened by losing the status quo, because you realize that everyone involved with this show, all the major characters, are marginalized communities, and you don't want to see marginalized communities at the same level as the community you're a part of, because then that would make you and that community not special. And so you don't want to see any of that. That's kind of the problem. But you have to get outside of your chamber for that.
1000%. Also, the reason why the witches die is because they communicate together to use their powers to control Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi, into fighting his friends. Then Trinity from the Matrix clears his mind using the Force to sever the connection, which apparently kills or gives all the witches brain damage or something. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Fuck this show. What a waste of time, money, and potential.
I mean, that's actually a pretty solid breakdown of what happens, but you don't have to like it. Nobody is forcing you to like it. You guys are engaging with it so you can be mad every single week and make money from people that are mad. You make multiple videos a day about the show so you can make money off of people being mad. It's just the reality of it, man.
Well, I agree with you on the money or the time and money. There was never potential. This show never had potential.
I like the show. A lot of people love the show. I truly don't understand why. Like, I get the money thing. I understand that you guys are doing this for money, even though I think it's absolute scumbag shit. I understand you're doing it for money. I don't understand why you have to cultivate your fan base to become so hateful. That I don't understand. That seems like extra. It's being very extra.
At all. It was never going to be good. It was never going to do anything other than be the pile of shit that it is. This was frustrating. This was frustrating on many levels, because it is... I'm just being honest. Like, I'm all about respecting other people's opinions and the things that they like. And
Cap, you are lying. And I'll leave it at that.
All of that. I like a lot of things that people don't like. And I do understand that. I don't see people defending this show based on the show. I see people defending this show because people they don't like are complaining about this show.
That's because that's the communities you engage with. That's why. I don't care that you don't like the show. I'm enjoying it. I think the story is very interesting. I view it every single week with a group of friends. We watch it the minute it comes out. We sit around, we get our popcorn, we get our snacks, we sit down, we watch it, we enjoy it. We have a good time with it. Yes, there's been a couple of weak episodes this season, but there's been some really strong episodes as well. We're having a good time. When I'm watching that show, I'm not thinking about Jeremy and Geeks and Gamers. I'm not thinking about the quartering. I'm not thinking about any of you Chud channels. I don't care if you guys don't like it. That's not even the part that bothers me. It's stuff like this, going so hard and everything. And talking about black women the way you do. Like, what can black women do in Star Wars that's okay with you guys? What would be acceptable from you guys when it comes to black women? Let's think about this, just off the top of my head. So they can't be Sith. They can't be Sith because you wouldn't want that. They can't be Jedi because you don't want that. They can't be witches in Star Wars because you don't want that. What are black women allowed to do? They can't be bossy. They can't be powerful. They can't be queens. They can't do anything at all in Star Wars without you guys complaining. So if you're a fan of these channels, let me know in the comments below. What can black women do in these shows that would be acceptable? Because I don't understand what it is. They can't be witches with powers as lead characters, because then there's going to be an issue with that. They can't be Jedi. It's going to be an issue with that. I mean, look what happened with Reva. Can't have a character like that. Would be an issue with that. So I don't know what black women could do in these movies and TV shows that these guys would clear. As the white arbiters, the white men arbiters of Star Wars, the ones that control everything, what would you allow black women, women in general, gay people, trans people, other POCs, what are we allowed to do in Star Wars that is okay with you guys? You tell me, because clearly we can't just do anything. Even when there's people in charge of the show, that have the opportunity to create and build their own show with their own characters. Even when they do it, they're not allowed to, because this is the kind of pushback they get. You know, I'm not even going to watch the rest of this video. I'm doing my 5-minute rule. Usually when I get to 5 minutes, I'm like, if it's just a bunch of shit, I really don't want to dive too much into it. The issue is that these guys have bills to pay. They have car payments, they have house payments, they have electric bills, they have water bills. And right now, they are cashing in on all of the hatred and anger that comes from their base over a show that does not revolve around characters that they deem important, characters that they see themselves in. They see a show in the Star Wars universe that they could easily just be like, you know what, I'm not going to watch this one. I don't like it. So I'm just going to skip this one and I'll watch something else later. Instead of doing that, they have to galvanize everything and rile up their fan base and get them to go after people and things like that. I love the show. You don't have to like the show, Jeremy. I'm not going to twist your arm. I'm not going to say you have to sit down and watch it. You have to love every single bit of it. But I'm certainly not going to tell people that the show is great, and if you don't love it, you're an idiot. You're bad. It's just, that's the narrative that you're creating here. You're creating a narrative that the show is objectively bad and that there's nothing redeemable about the series based on your own personal opinion, but you're stating it like a subjective thing. And then you're saying that people like me, the only reason we love it is because you guys don't like it. That makes no fucking sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. If you want to help dismantle the system from the inside, be a part of the revolution, and join the revolution by subscribing to my channel, hitting like, and leaving a comment down below. Share my content all over the place. I really would like to sort of get the channel buzzing a bit more. And I do see people sharing the Chud and the Grifty content all over the place. You guys give us some shout outs. If you're enjoying our content, share our content other places. Be like, check these guys out. They're speaking out against them. They're going on the front lines talking about these guys. Be a part of the system. I would appreciate that. And a lot of people in my space would also appreciate it. You guys are already here. You're watching, you're commenting, but make sure you share. Get our content out there. We'd really love that. I love you guys. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. All of the team members, channel members, thank you so much. And everybody out there who's watching all my content. Thank you. See you in the next video.